So you want to learn how to get ahead in Pal World. Well, I'm your guy. I'm only obsessed with the game. I only started playing it at 3 o'clock in the morning when it came out. So I got you with some early game tips. Let's just get right into it. So first off, obviously you spawn in. You usually spawn in near a big little statue. So you want to go up to there and press F or whatever is interact for you. Those things are waypoints and you can fast travel to them without losing your items when fast traveling, by the way. I know Ark and like Rust and stuff have fast travel of some kind, but it makes you lose your items. This is not the case with Pal World. You do not lose anything when you fast travel. And these will be important because the map is pretty freaking big, dude. Getting places, even when you get a mount, which you can get fairly early, is tough. Anyway, you spawn in. What do? Well, you want to go either talk to someone, because usually there's like a little explorer in a campfire nearby. You can get some palladium fragments, the little blue resource. You use those to make important structures, as well as pal balls, which you want to be catching as much as possible in this game. So just go around, pick up some sticks, some stones, punch a tree. Then you want to build a workbench. And what do you want to do after building the workbench? Make a stone pickaxe, stone axe, etc. You know the drill with these things. In the top right corner, there's quests. Now you actually want to do these because they get you XP, which help you level up faster. And the higher the level you can get to, the more stuff you can activate in the tech tree. You can increase your stats. I like to increase health, stamina, and weight, although I am experimenting with attack damage to see how useful that is. I'll get back to you on that. And by leveling up your tech tree, you're able to level up your base, which lets you get more workers, which lets you progress faster. It all just helps each other out, right? When you go in the build mode, the first thing you want to do after making your workbench and getting your tools ready and maybe capturing some pals is you want to find a place to set up base and then put down your pal box and make sure the pal box is in the middle of the big space that you found for your base, because you won't get any more space to build other than that for your main base anyway. So for example, don't build on a beach with like a cliffside next to you that cuts off half the radius of the base like I did, because I'm an idiot. Your pal box is a waypoint. You can fast travel to it. It's also your computer where your pals go into when you're not using them. And it's also the place where you can set any of those pals into the worker slots. It's in the same thing. When you open your computer, you know how Pokemon has like the PC box where you store all of your pals. It also, under that storage, has the worker space, which you can place them. And you can also look at each pal has different stats for doing certain jobs around the house, which they do automatically, by the way. Usually prioritizing the one that you're currently focusing on. For example, if you place down a bed, pals will stop what they're doing to help build the bed or, you know, craft the item, etc., etc. You place down the pal box and then you look at the upgrades and see what you need to upgrade. This is the main thing you want to be doing. This is the thing you want to just focus on. How can I level up my base? Because again, higher the level it gets, the more stuff you can do. More pals you can use in your workplace. Easier time you have fending off raids. You can farm items infinitely easier. What are good pals to start with since you have such a limited space for them? Cativa's a really good one because he helps out with handiwork, gathering, and mining. You're gonna be able to get an infinite mining source fairly easy, and it'll help clear out stuff a lot. And it's good at transporting. Cativa just covers a lot of categories that you really want. The fact that it helps you craft stuff is just a bonus. Usually you want to find one with a good stat like Artisan, where they have increased work speed, but that's not super important early game. You just want to get the pals that you need ASAP. Land balls, also a good one because it has similar helping requirements. And you want to catch land balls anyway, because one of the early quest is to catch 5 of them, which gives you a big boost in XP. Another one that you might not be able to find super often, I know only one spot where they actually spawn. They might spawn other places, but this is where I've only seen them in my playthroughs. Right here on the map, I'll show you right now. The Lifmunk, I think that's what it's called, I actually forget. The green squirrel. This thing may look kind of basic, you know, it's just a green squirrel. It is so useful. It does everything Cativa does pretty much, except it can also garden, and it can also chop down wood. It's one of the only early game pals that can actually chop down wood, which is going to be essential for a infinite mining and infinite wood chopping, lumbering, whatever base to be had. So you want to make sure you get this squirrel as fast as you can. Same goes for at least some kind of water pal. I prefer Pangolin because he can also do a few other things. Teofant can only really water, same thing with Celeray, so they're not as useful, but they're useful for other things. Like, for example, Teofant can heal you, and Celeray can become a kind kind of glider if you don't want to build the glider yourself. If you can't get Lift Monk, you do want to get, like, for example, a Glumoss, or not Glumoss, Gumoss, sorry, because they're good at gardening too, and you want to get down a berry plantation as soon as possible because you want to be able to infinitely feed your pals without having to stuff their fruit baskets every single second. Make sure to leave a decent amount of space for the area you want to make the beds for your pals. The beds actually take up a decent amount of space. The spawn area has a decent amount of those blue rocks, which you can mine for the Polinium, since getting that early game is kind of tough. And once you get to around level 7, it starts to slow down a tiny bit. Level 7 on your base anyway. So that's about where I would say early game ends and the kind of early to mid game starts. Early mid game, I guess. When you make the PAL workbench, make sure to actually look at the abilities and stuff that you can get. These abilities are very powerful. For example, Foxspark's flamethrower is absolutely insane amounts of damage. Daydream's necklace basically lets you have 2 pals out at once. Daydream firing off shadow balls like no one's business. I've killed so many pals on accident because of this. So be careful about that. Make sure to use your command to put them on passive before going for the catch, or just, you know, have sleight of hand like me and just throw the ball when they're dying and still get the catch. It's actually kind of crazy that you can do that. And again, this, you know, the squirrel can hold a pistol on your shoulder too if you want to use it in combat, but I would prefer you use it at the base. They're very good workers. You know, I don't need to tell you what buildings you need to build, right? The upgrading the base tells you what you need to build essentially. The quests for upgrading the base are building the things that you need to make infinite resources. For example, the tree cutting thing, the stone one, and the crusher. The crusher is super important. If you can get that as soon as possible, especially right after the infinite mining resource, that is fantastic, because the crusher, if you have someone that can water, they power it, right? And the crusher makes Polinium like shards, the blue things that we were talking about earlier. Those are really, really good, dude. You basically get infinite blue shards. Like, you don't even have to really go look for them anymore after that. The crusher can also make fiber out of wood, but that's not that important. Fiber's pretty easy to get. I don't think the game tells you to make a ranch either. Make sure you make a ranch as soon as possible. I'll show it on screen now. This is very important for lamb balls and the chickadees. Chickadee lays eggs, which is more food for your house and for you. Usually the berries are enough to keep your pals tame, so you can use the eggs for, you know, just existing. Eggs are very solid food source. But the real thing you want from this is the lamb ball, because they produce wool just passively in that ranch. And wool is very important for making cloth and a bunch of different things. Also, one last thing that goes in the ranch that I've seen so far is the Vixie. The Vixie is amazing in the ranch because she digs up consumables like the Pal Sphere, arrows, and even gold. So make sure to get one of those in there as soon as you possibly can. There's a Schlatt that probably should be the first boss that you should go after. It's a little far away, but it is only level 11. It's easy to catch, and once you kill a boss, you'll be able to make the egg incubator, which can get you some really powerful pals really early on. For example, I finally hatched a large damp egg, and it gave me a Peng King. Peng King is an absolute unit of a worker. He has level 2 on so many useful stats. And to be honest, once you finish the boss, you really are in the mid game. So honestly, congratulations. The early tips for Palworld. You're welcome. Go check out my other videos, please. I'm begging you. And maybe go follow my Twitch. Anyway, I love you guys. That was pretty anticlimactic. The game's pretty straightforward, I'm not gonna lie, but I hope I helped you. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I will respond to you. Take care, guys. See you in the next one.